Hi everyone, Miranda Pitrone here, and we are going to do this fun stone today, which is an oval handmade art stone using the Happy Dotting Company mold. It's the small oval stone, so it's about 3¼ inches by 2 inches. And I'm going to use dotting tools to paint this one, and a nice selection of golds and greens and yellow, just kind of a shiny, bright, happy stone. So stick with me, and this is the mandala we're going to create on this oval stone. Alrighty, so just a quick mention here. I have on Pinterest a selection of color palettes. Today, since we're using the gold and greens, I had selected just a few to kind of show you, but I save a bunch here for when I am stuck and can't find a color combo that I like. I come here for inspiration, so feel free to check it out. It's just color palettes, yay, on my Miranda Pitrone art Pinterest. I'll post all the links for this in the description of the video as well. Alrighty, so we're starting with the small oval stone from the Happy Dotting Company mold. I made my own stone, and this one I used the potter's plaster, so it's really lightweight. And then I just painted it with a matte black paint and a sponge brush so that it got even coverage on, and I only had to put on one coat, so it has even coverage on the stone. So I'm just going to kind of use my etcher here to find my background, or my middle of my background. And I just actually eyeball it, but you can use a tape measure. It's easier on the stones because the tape measure is flexible, but I'm just going to mark an X here for my center. And that way I'll know where to place my first dot. And this etcher tool is actually in my shop as well. I try to keep that stocked. I find them really useful. So it's about 3¼ length and then 2 inches in width. So like I said, a tape measure would work better because it's more flexible, but I'm just going to eyeball it today. So I'm just going to kind of sketch out a plus sign here, and you may not be able to see it super clearly. For some reason my lighting is off here in the studio a bit, but I'm just going to sketch it in a plus sign pattern, so 90° angles, and then I'm going to go at the 45° angles here and just kind of etch lines in. And there are flexible stencils too. The Happy Dotting Company has silicone stencils too. Alright, so we're using jungle green for our center and a 1/4 inch acrylic rod. I told you guys I'd use the dotting tools for these ones, so actually this acrylic rod I think actually is a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch about. So I'm going to put a nice big dot of that jungle green right in the center here. And I'm going to go with the dotting styluses that I've bent. So if you're looking for these, they're in my shop as well. You can find them straight if you just want straight ones on Amazon, Wish, there's a bunch of places. So let's grab the white, and we're going to mark out our plus sign. And then we'll also do the 45° angle with these white dots. And this is with the larger end of the pink. And now I'm using the smaller end of the pink. You could also use the other end of that etcher tool that I just showed to make smaller dots in between here. We're just going to do 2 white dots in between the larger ones that we've already put down. And then we're going to use the apple green, which is a multi-surface one, but I really like this green. It's a great shade. So we're going to put 2 dots above each of the larger of the white dots that we put down initially. I started to say earlier, the Happy Dotting Company has silicone stencils, so they're flexible and will lay over stones. She's on Etsy. And if you're in the US, just have to click on photos that have a US flag, and those are the ones that she can ship to the United States. Okay, so I'm switching to the green tool, the larger end, with some Irish moss. And above each of those 2 dots, those 2 little dots of green we put down, we're going to put a larger dot. This one is about 3 millimeters of the Irish green. I mean the Irish moss. And if you have guidelines down, these will be right in line with your plus sign and your 45-degree angles, same as the white dots we put down at the start. This is how you keep your symmetry. Start in the center and just keep going in a line, working out. So you honestly don't really need the guidelines. Some people like to use them, but sometimes I find them, I get frustrated if I'm trying to stay on the line. So I like to just kind of create freely, but we all learn differently, right? That's what makes it awesome. All right. That Irish moss looks so nice and bright. It'll dry a little more matte, but after you varnish it, it'll pop like this again. I use the high glass varnish. And again, I'll post all the links in the description for the items I use. So sometimes too I have to let rounds dry in between, just because if you want to get the dots really close to each other and not have them bleed into one another, it takes a little bit of drying time. Alright, so I'm just going to edit in here because there was a little glitch in my system. We're going to do little white dots around each of the Irish moss, but it didn't show it in my video. It cut out somehow. So the next step is going to pop up all the little white dots around the Irish moss, larger dots that we just put down. And you just use the smaller dotting tool and the pink one. And you just, the people call it walking your dots. So I start at the top and work my way down around to the bottom, and the dots will get smaller. You don't have to re-dip your dotting tool. And there we go. Look at those magically appear. So all I did was dip it in the white, start at the top, and you can see they get progressively smaller as you work your way around with the dotting tool. Okay, so now we're going to go back to that acrylic rod that we used for our center and place yellow dots in a plus formation above and to the side. And I messed up on this one, so we're just going to wipe it away here with the brush, and then because we have a black background, I'll just paint over it. And then I just kind of want to blend it in just a little bit here with a sponge brush. But that's the beauty of having a background color too, is you can always fix your mistake or something that was unintended. I was a little off kilter when I put this one down. So I'm just gonna blot over that with some black paint after I wiped off all the excess. And then we can replace it a little bit later after that black paint is dry. And I used Sunny Day for the paint. The yellow paint was Sunny Day. I'm just gonna fix that little white dot there. Alrighty, so we are just working our way with the Sunny Day around the dots here. I'm just kind of fixing up this one. It's a little more difficult on the sides when they're flat. So I'm just fixing up the Sunny Day on this one, and we're just going to dot all around the big yellow dots with the smaller end of the pink. So you can see I've already done that at either end. Alright, so to get to the sides of these, I'm just going to tuck a little rock under here. And I think I'm going to go with green instead on the side. So we're going to go back to that really pretty jungle green and do a row around our Sunny Day of the jungle green. And we're still waiting for our other side to dry here. I'm just looking at the stone ends here. I think we're going to do some swipes on the end. And I'm going to go with some margarita green for the first swipes using this pink dotting tool. So it's one of the smaller ones. And we're going to start opposite, one going up and one starting at the top going down. I'll show you on this end. I'm going to get a good amount on the tool. That's with the bent ones too. So starting at the top and drag it around. And just take your time dragging it slowly, because that'll help you keep more control over the stylus. And I haven't used these in a while, so I'm just going to touch it up a little bit. Which you're allowed to do. It's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect the first time, right? So we have one going one way, and we dip it and get a good amount of paint. We're going to start the other one from the bottom and bring it slowly around up to the top. Here we go. And this is a fun design too for doing the oval stones because it fits in here. So I'm going to go back and grab the Sunny Day and our acrylic rod and put that Sunny Day down here. And when I lift up the tool, I kind of tuck it in and up, so it kind of drags the paint upwards a little bit, and that helps me so it doesn't drip as much. I don't know if that makes sense, but alright, so back to the jungle green. It's a little sticky from being in my palette. So you could either re-pour or you could keep a wet paper towel on your palette, and that'll help keep your paints a little bit longer. And then I'm just working my way from the top of the yellow dot down around and letting them get smaller as the paint runs off the tool. So you don't have to switch dotting tools, so it'll just get smaller dots as you go around. So I'm using Kelly green now. And I'm using the largest dotting tool, the stylus. So it's the green one, it's about 3 millimeters. And I'm going to get a good amount on the tool. And we're going to start at the bottom and follow it up to the top. So you're following along the other swipe that we created. And these ones were both going to be from the bottom to the top. So the first two were opposite, one up, one down, but these ones are both from the bottom to the top of the yellow dot. But you can see the swipes take a little bit of practice to see how much paint to put on the tool and what size tools to use to see how far it goes. And this one I have to double dot because I won't have enough paint for what I grabbed. So like I said, it takes a little bit of practice to learn how much paint you need. So I'm just going to grab that tail and drag it out a little bit farther here. But really, if you go slower, it's better. It keeps the paint wicked to the stone. So it's kind of like a constant tether of paint, if that makes sense. And you can just keep dragging it out a little bit longer. So we're going to continue on with that green, that Kelly green. And with our pink dotting tool, which was one of the smaller ones, we're going to go around the side dots here with that green. So we're just following around the jungle green with the Kelly green and the pink small dotter. I feel like I'm playing the game of Clue. The Kelly green around the jungle green with the pink small dotter on the art stone in Miranda Pitrone Art Studio. There. So this, my little stone, is my helper stone, so I can angle it so I can see better. The flatter stones, it's hard for me to dot under the sides, and I don't like to hold the stone as much because I always end up sticking my fingers in the paint. And that gets really frustrating to constantly have to be fixing when I shove my finger in the paint. So the little mini Lazy Susan turntable is helpful because then you touch it less, but also just tucking something under the side to kind of tip it up. The only thing you have to be cautious of is not flipping it too far so that the wet paint on the other side of the stone dips into your turntable. Yes, I have done that too. Lots and lots of messes I make. So I'm going to stick with that Kelly green still. And the larger dotting tool here. And at the base of each of our large yellow dot elements here, we're just going to tuck a large dot of that Kelly green on either side. And I think we'll continue with the other two ones as well. So in essence, this is kind of like a quad mandala because you're doing 4 directions at the outer part, but it fits the oval stone. They're fun. It's fun trying to find designs to fit in a confined space. I think it's a fun art challenge. Okay, switching over to the white again. We're going to put a nice big old white dot, I think, in each of the sunny day dots. Actually, maybe we'll just do the 2 ends for a circular dot. And then on the sides, we'll switch it to an oval after. But I'll wait for that one to dry before we get to that. So you can see I'm kind of always jumping around from point to point. This one is a jumping around stone for sure. So hopefully you can follow along or rewind and go back to it. But so I'm going to the center now with the Kelly green and the large dotting tool. And we're going to put a top dot in the center here. So I work around, sometimes I work on multiple pieces, but I also work around the stone depending on if it's wet in certain places, or you can't put top dots very easily on another wet dot, so you kind of have to wait for it to dry. So I'm going to switch to the gold now and the smaller dotting tools now that the white is dry, and we'll put little gold top dots on the tops of these white dots here. Not the first ring, it was the second round of the white dots that we put. Just gonna give it a little shine. Alright, so back to the jungle green. I'm just taking a peek here. We're kind of at the edge of the stone, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to try to keep the paint on here and drag one more swipe down the side. Yeah, stay. When I watch other people do stuff like this on their painting videos, I hold my breath. Don't hold your breath, keep breathing. It's going to be alright. You saw how it turned out in the end. Come on. So see how the paint stays, if you go slow, it's wicked to the stone. See that little string? So you're just catching it again, that little string of paint helps you make your swipe go farther with the dotting tool. I'm just gonna pull this one up a little bit. I don't want that paint to drip down, but I also want it to be a little farther up here. So you can make adjustments too. It's not a one and done deal, but sometimes too I've actually had to wipe the whole swipe off. Wipe the whole section of paint off and redo it. But I like this asymmetrical type of placement, so we're just going to pull it up a little farther here, but you don't have to do that. That way you can see they're like uneven on either side. I don't know why, I just kind of like that. Perfectly imperfect. Alright, so this is dry now. I can grab it like this. It wasn't just a quick flip. I can grab it so that I can paint the other end with the jungle green and the large dotting tool. I'm going to try it down flat this time, we'll see. So sometimes you can pull the paint away from yourself, push it away from yourself. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. And you can see here, I'll have to just kind of slowly pull it around. And I'm not a study, obviously, holding this up in the air. So if you can do it with it laying down and even a wrist rest, then you'll have a base to kind of keep your hand steadier. Apparently Miranda had too much coffee today, so. But you get the idea here. I'll pull it all the way down on the sides. All right, grabbing my titanium white again, and we're gonna go with this silicone dotter, the oval end. And like I said, we're gonna tuck a couple of ovals of white in our large yellow sunny day dots on the sides. I just want to make sure I'm placing it in the center and then gently touch it to the stone. Makes fun little ovals. And just touch that up a little bit here. There you go. And we'll let that dry. So now I have Venetian gold, which is just a tinge darker. I want to say almost orange, or more orange, I guess, than the glorious gold. Maybe bronze. Bronze is a better way of putting it. So it's a little shade towards bronze. But we're going to put a dot of that Venetian gold in each of our little white ends here. Maybe we'll put some here too over our yellow and fill in that little space there on either of the sides. Alright, so let's pep it up even a little more with the shine and go to the extreme gold. And with the other end of our silicone dotting tool, I'm going to make some little petals here. Let's turn them this way so that they're angled a little bit in, so it makes a little teardrop. And I will remind you with the extreme sheens, they are a little tacky, they're a little sticky, so you have to watch when you pull it up, it leaves a string. So you can see on that first one, I kind of had a little string plop over. I'll have to fix that. But there's a better teardrop look. So these make kind of little teardrop petals with the thin end of the silicone tool. And we'll do a couple petals here. One on that side. Alrighty, so see here where the little string plopped over. I'm just gonna go and grab my etcher tool here with the sharp end, and while it's still wet I can just kind of scrape it up, wipe it off, scrape it up. And then we have our little petal shape. Also, you can take it and kind of, if you want it a little pointier, depending on the shape of how you want your petals, you can use this to kind of reshape it a little bit. And I find that helpful too. All right, margarita time. I'll put it probably, let's do the margarita in the small here, because it's a highlight for the little bit darker apple green. Yeah, bud. Alrighty, so let's go back to the apple green for our next set of highlights on our swipes. And again, it's just taking your time. Start at the top here and slowly drag it down for the tail. And we're going to do that on both sides. So it's just a little highlight on top of the swipes. So with the Kelly Green and the same size dotting tool, we're just going to finish up our last swipe here before its highlight. Drag it around, keep it wicked to the stone, and pull it around. I'm going to have to wait on this one because it's still wet now, but so for now we'll switch to the apple green and we'll put dots on top of each of our Irish moss to highlight these because those are dry. Alrighty, so go back and grab our 24 karat gold here. Like I said, we're just always sporadic on the stone everywhere. So we'll toss a little shine in the center there of the 24 karat. Okay, so now I am going back to the apple green with the large dotting tool. We're going to do a couple rows here around this element with the apple green. So we're kind of just continuing on with the theme that we did with the swipes, where in the center it was the jungle green, then the Kelly green. I'm sorry. Opposite. We started outside from the jungle green to the Kelly green to the apple green, and now we started in the center around our sunny day dot with the jungle green, Kelly green, and now we're going to go out to the apple green. So it's using the same colors, just in a different order, and that way too your stone doesn't get too chaotic with a bunch of other colors. You're using the same kind of theme and just tying it all in together with your color palette. Gets a little harder around the edge here, so I'm going to wait for that to dry because we talked before about not flipping it. See how far they go under. So I don't want to flip it too far because this will hit my turntable. Alright, so now while that's drying, I'm going to put some 24 karat gold petals in the center of our white dots. I think I'm going to use the eraser for this one instead of the petal. So the eraser does oval dots as well. Just a little, like you get them at the dollar store for like a pack of 20, put them on the end of kids' pencils, that will make ovals too. And if you're looking for just a quick tutorial on those, I have an oval dot tutorial which uses a bunch of different tools, brushes, screwdrivers, you name it. I dipped a bunch of stuff and showed you how they made different shapes. And this is the extreme sheen again, so I gotta pull it up the right direction so it doesn't drop paint on my art here. Alrighty. Well, there's our little ovals in the center of the white. So back to the Kelly green, because we need to finish our swipes on top for our highlight here on the jungle green. So it is a little bit damp, but I'm going to go for it anyway. And then just gently drag it down on top of that jungle green here. And then the other side as well. And my apple green on the other side is dry, so we're gonna tuck our little stone under here so we can do the apple green on this side. And I think then we'll be done with this fun little stone, at least painting it. So if you're looking for me online, you can always find me at my website. I also have links to Instagram and Facebook, Pinterest. There's a little bit everywhere. But you can feel free to contact me through my website. I don't think it lets people send pictures though, that's what we're finding. So if you want to send me photos of things that you've done or things that you've made from my videos, I'd love to be able to share those if you don't mind with others so they can be encouraged and see that it's possible. You can send them to my email at mpitrone@gmail.com, or you can come on Facebook. Also, I have Facebook, so if you're on Facebook, you can come there and send it via Messenger if you want to send photos. So there's our little stone. Came out great. I'm super excited. I hope you guys enjoyed painting this with me. It's super cute and super fun. Okay, and just a quick reminder, I have everything at kind of a one-stop shop now at my website. So here you go to my website, Miranda Pitrone Art, and shop. And if you're looking for items that I've created, they're on here, but also I have tools for painting. And then I also have a lot of other great selection of items here, but what I wanted to show for this was in my digital downloads, go to felt bottom tracing patterns. So because this is an oval stone that we created from the Happy Dotting Company, I have just a quick file to help you print out a felt bottom for your stone. So this does have the pattern here for the oval. So you see here it has the small oval. So you just print it out, cut it out, make your own little stencil, and you can trace a nice piece of felt to put on the bottom of your stone. And that's what I'm probably going to do with this little guy because he already has a home he's going to. So I hope you find this helpful. It's just self-adhesive felt. I'll post a link from where I get them on Amazon, but you can find them at your local craft shops as well. They're not very expensive. You get like 10 sheets. I don't remember what the price was, but it was reasonable. So, and very easy to use. And if you can, you don't want to scratch things up with the art stones. You want to just have a nice soft landing for your stone. So, A, they don't get broken as easily and they don't scratch up whatever you're setting them upon. All Alright, so after you got your felt, you would just stick it on the back here. And you could place your stone wherever you want it to be at its home. Alright, thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. I know it was a little scattered here and there, but you got the picture and hopefully you could follow along all right. If you're looking for other videos that I've created, I'm at Miranda Pitrone Art on YouTube. All of my videos are there. I have separated now playlists of brushwork ones and dotting tool ones, so if you're just looking for one or the other, you can get a whole playlist for those. And then, as always, you can subscribe and get notified anytime I put a new video out. It'll give you a little ding notification letting you know. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you are all doing well, and I look forward to hearing from you all in the comments. Have an awesome day.